Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Shelbyville Now Sports Live. Today I have with me Mr. Bill Anderson, Kenny Parker, and the legend D. McCullough.
Put my sunglasses
Yeah,
back
put
on.
your sunglasses back on.
Here.
We're going to cover the three high school football games that took place here in Bedford County this past weekend and comment on those and talk about a lot of other interesting things. But we want to thank our sponsors, First Bank, for allowing us to do this live stream. And let's take and hear a word from them, and we'll be right back to get the show kicked off. Okay, guys, welcome back again. We want to thank First Bank for being a sponsor of this show. And tonight we're going to start off by talking about our only victory of the Bedford County High School team, and that was Webb High School. And Kenny Parker, you went and you got to watch that game. The final score, it was a runaway. Tell us a little bit about that. I know the score is 59-0. Tell us a little bit about what Webb did and their opponent.
Well, Webb's got a pretty good football team. They're pretty athletic. It's hard to see just how good they are with the competition that they played. Mount Juliet Christian was not very good. Matter of fact, their quarterback threw 4 interceptions in the first half, and three of them, there wasn't anybody even around when he threw it, and Webb returned 2 of those back for touchdowns. But they're pretty athletic. It's hard to. They've got a lot of excitement going on there. I have lived in Bell Buckle all my life, and I have never seen the athletes at Webb that I saw Friday night. Not just what's on the football field, but you can tell there's basketball players, both boys and girls, walking the sidelines, and they are really pushing their athletic programs at Webb. And a great atmosphere. They've got a turf field, with a big Megatron, and but it's okay.
Coach, what are they running schematically over there, defensively and offensively? What are they running?
Well, they ran like an old 5-2 on defense. They had 2 safeties, and offensively they just spread it out. Spread it out, got 1 back. I don't know the number. I don't know their names. I know the numbers. Their running back's pretty good. Their little running back's pretty good. Their quarterback throws a good ball. They got a couple of long, lanky receivers that, athletically, they weren't real good up front, but Friday night, they didn't have to be very good up front because, to be honest with you, Mount Juliet Christian looked like a JV football team.
Yeah. So they obviously have a lot of young players.
And that's one of the things that you get into when you play Division II private football. You're going to have teams that are real good, and you're going to have teams that aren't very good. Mount Juliet Christian dressed about 20 players. Several of them got hurt, so when you just have a few, and some of them get hurt, when you've got a few, they're playing both sides of the ball. So, but don't take that against Webb. Webb did what they needed to do, and they scored, and their kicker's pretty good too. I mean, their kicker's pretty good.
Okay, you can watch Webb if you don't have time to get out to the game. You're stuck at home. You can go to NFHS Network and watch a Webb ball game. I think most all those are going to be live streamed.
Took a while to get it going, but I did it after you said it.
I did it. I went to and watched Webb on it was Friday night, or was it Thursday night? It's
It's
Friday.
Thursday.
Friday night.
It's Friday night game.
Friday night game, and I watched the Central Coffee County game. I went back and forth a little bit there, but that NFHS has got a lot of local teams playing. So if you can't get out for whatever reason, you can join, watch on your cell phone, or throw it up on the big screen and watch it at the house. But that's a pretty good service to have. So it sounds like Webb has some skilled players in the skill positions. And they don't dress a lot either. What do they have, 22,
No,
30?
they had right at 30 kids.
Okay. Now, I know the enrollment, I was looking their enrollment up, it's like 228 for their high school.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, and the other Mount Dewitt Christian had about 225. So you got a small enrollment. It's hard to get enough field a team, let alone have
It's
big
okay when you're
numbers.
recruiting kids.
Yeah.
You're getting pretty good, can't you, Coach?
Yeah, we'll
You can go get them. You're recruiting a football player.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, they got some athletes there. They've got some athletes there. Coach played at at Blackman,
All right.
so he knows one of his old coaches is there helping him. Their offensive line coach played in the NFL, and yeah, he's a big old man. But
Who's the head coach?
I'm not sure what his name is. They didn't have a program.
Well, it's good to see them win another game.
And they said their head coach had coached from Texas and was pretty successful in Texas.
It'd be nice if we get the head coach you hadn't to watch this. We'd love to have you on here with us.
Yeah, it'd be good to have
It'd be great just to talk
Be
to
great
him.
to have. Now they go ahead. They play Cannon County.
They
This
play
week.
Cannon County this week. I believe that's at Cannon County. So we'll be able to. I've seen Cannon County play.
Cannon County's got some big old boys, don't they? They always
Cannon
used to.
County's got some big old boys. They play a lot of power football.
Right. It'll be a whole
And-
different deal.
And it looked to
That's
me
Kenny's style of football.
Yes.
Run the ball.
They run the ball.
Just run it.
And it doesn't. Again, it's hard to tell with what I saw them playing against the other night.
Be a better judge against Cannon County, though. This
little
runs of
better.
football, physical
Mhm.
versus that, and see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, good luck to Webb this coming
Yeah.
week, and we'll be covering that game next Friday morning. Cascade had a disappointing loss, 20-13 against Mount Pleasant.
I'll tell you, I was impressed with the way Cascade played. I know they got beat, but I'm telling you, Mount Pleasant they've got more athletes on that team. They've got shovel out athleted. I have never seen, and I was on the sidelines with them. They're loaded with athletes. Very undisciplined. Cascade shut them down the first half and was ahead 13-0. But in the second half, they made a couple of athletic plays that Cascade didn't have anybody to defend with it, and they got it going pretty good. It was pretty rough for Cascade moving the ball in the second half.
What happened in the second half, Coach, about moving the football? Was it an adjustment you think that Mount Pleasant made, or was it just better athletes?
Well, here's the thing. In my years of playing against Mount Pleasant, you got to attack them and attack them and attack them and attack them and keep them down. The whole turning point of that game early in the third quarter, Mount Pleasant, their receiver that's committed to Southeast Missouri, made a catch, and the whole sidelines and the whole team got going, and and they're young. They're a very young team. Play a lot of kids. They play a lot of kids, but they just got to playing well, and
That was that 64-yard play right after they just scored. So it was like a boom, boom, wasn't it? I mean, it's like a
their
boom, boom.
quarterback dropped back. He's a junior, and this little number 21, who's also a junior, just ran by him.
Yep.
And the quarterback threw a bullet. I bet he can throw it 80 yards.
Wow.
And hit him right dead in stride. And a little later, same thing
Right.
again.
Big plays.
Oh, God. Yeah. Nothing we can do.
Speed killed us.
If you took Cascade's fastest guy on his team, he probably about the 10th or 11th fastest on their team.
Makes it tough.
It's tough.
Speed
It's
kills.
tough.
You can't defend it if you don't have
Yeah.
it.
I mean,
you cannot.
Yeah, and that's what they did the first half.
They contained it.
They contained Mount Pleasant tried to run the ball a little bit because they had success early in the year. They said running the ball because they told me that for the game, watch this number. I forget what his name is. Said, man, he's shut him down. They shut him down. But then when they went to the air,
That's where it showed up.
it was over.
Well, did you get any statistics from that game? How did we look like?
It did not get. I know Cascade's quarterback Nixon, Zamari Dixon threw 2 touchdown passes to Chance Brown in the second quarter. Looked like both of them looked like the very same play.
Wow.
But
Okay.
and that's how they scored.
So Cascade scored by passing the ball.
They ran the ball, but both of their touchdowns was through the air.
Okay. All right. Well, they got Huntland next, which lost the
Huntland
corners
this week. Huntland lost the corners for 24-0, and they lost the week before to Whitwell, so they're 0-2 right now.
Well, Cascade, hopefully they can get back on the winning track.
Can't get Huntland, right?
They go to Huntland Friday night, 7 o'clock.
It's a bit of a drive.
If you start looking at that region, you had Forest, which looked like in their first 2 games they were just going to like plow through everybody, and Loretta come up and beat them. That was surprising.
Shocked me. Loretta beat them 44-28. So not only did they, but again, Huntland. Forest a week before had a kid get hurt. I don't know how that affected their team, but never dreamed that Loretta would beat them. And then Richland beat Summertown 20-13, and
Yeah.
Summertown lost their coach last week. Coach Ricky Rice had to step down. He had to step down and go back to Murfreesboro. And unfortunately for him, our prayers need to be for him.
He's a good man.
He's a super good man. His not his oldest son, but his second to the oldest was in a real bad car accident.
Wow. Okay.
And when Coach Rice left Rockvale, Rutherford County, and went to Summertown and took that job, their insurance when he got to Summertown was not going to pay on his son's medical bills. So he had to get back to Rutherford County by September the 1st, or he was going to lose that insurance to help with his son's medical expenses.
So that just happened all of a sudden.
And that just happened.
Yeah.
That's
Unfortunate.
Yes.
Glad it worked out though. Where
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Cascade's in the thick of this race. They've only lost 1 region game. And it's too early to tell what's going to happen.
And I'm going to tell you, they very well
opportunities.
could have lost to the best team in the region
Yes,
too. 'Cause
exactly.
if that group gets it together, there's nobody in that region that's got the athletes Mount Pleasant's got.
Well,
If they can keep them together and play football. And I'm going to tell you, we talked the other night about Tullahoma's kicker. He can't kick for Mount Pleasant.
really? Wow.
Wow.
He must be really
Mount Pleasant's kicker was kicking the ball through the end zone.
good.
Through the end zone.
That's a weapon in high school football.
Yeah. Sure is.
And I mean, he missed an extra point, but his kickoffs, not in the end, they weren't in the end zone. They were on the other side.
On the other side. Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen,
probably the Hall
Kid
kid
kick.
in Winchester. Remember him?
Yeah.
He could get through the end zone.
but
Played in
that
Tennessee.
is a real weapon in high school.
Yes,
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
Well, let's pause right now and take a quick station break. We've got First Bank as our sponsor. Let's hear a word from them, and we'll be right back. We'll talk about Shelbyville. All right, everybody, we're back in here now to talk about Shelbyville Central. Shelbyville went over to Coffee County lost 39-13, and I don't know if I've ever can remember when that's happened to a Shelbyville team. When's the last time we've even lost to Coffee County? Dave, you've been around. It's been a long time, hasn't it?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a
So
while.
it kind of hurts to go over there, but now Coffee County is a better team than I've seen in a long time too. But Shelbyville had a lot of mistakes. It's just.
Dave, we were wondering how they beat Tullahoma. Well, Tullahoma's quarterback didn't play in that game. He was hurt, so they really didn't have a backup quarterback. So that makes sense to why Coffee County beat Tullahoma the way they did.
Right.
So I believe Tullahoma's quarterback was out for that game.
Okay. Well,
The difference was in the lines to me. I mean, they were bigger, older, more physical.
yeah, it looked like they had a step on us there.
When you only got 8 seniors, is what you get. But
Yeah, their offensive line. I talked with Mark Smith, one of our bus drivers there on the track during the game, and their offensive line was way bigger than anybody really on the field that we had,
Right.
and they moved pretty well.
Yeah.
But
Most people never watch the offensive line.
No.
But in high school ball, if you got an offensive line that can block people, you can be successful.
Oh yeah.
it
That
doesn't
gets to your
necessarily-
style, Kenny.
You
That gets right
can
down
be,
your
you can
alley
be
right there.
successful if you can move people.
But it doesn't
and
necessarily have to be size.
it
It's technique.
the
size helps.
Yeah, it does. But it's just like, Cascade's game plan going into the game the other night, offensively was to get first downs,
Right.
not necessarily touchdowns, first downs, and play keep away.
Yeah.
And then if you can play keep away, and I don't know what happened with the Coffee game, but if you can do that and make people have to change the way they play, and after a while, you get tired of getting hit.
Well, we had bad snaps.
well,
We
I
had-
tell you what, I mean, we kicked off to them, and they took the opening kickoff for a touchdown.
They got to the 1 yard line.
Yeah, to the
Yeah,
1 yard
yeah.
line. Yeah, that's a punch in the face
Mhm.
Yeah.
right at the very beginning of the ball game.
I had him stopped at about the 35, but he fought through it, just kept on going, and then about almost outruns. We caught him down, but he put the ball on the one yard line for the first play from scrimmage. It's
What's changed is Coffee County's been getting some athletes. I believe there's one at Tennessee right now that's a Coffee County kid. They have been
I
getting.
think he's in a pro now.
Yeah.
He's
He's-
pro
yeah,
NFL.
Alante, they retired his number
Yeah.
Yeah.
at halftime.
They're getting players they weren't getting before.
They have placed, it seems, the last 5, 6 years, they've placed a lot of emphasis on athletics.
Yes, I agree with that.
Their junior high team, the last couple of years, has been pretty good. And you go back to that age group with the junior pro league won the division, whatever it is, a couple of years in a row, which happens to include their quarterback, the Pippinger kid, who's a sophomore. Athletic.
And I'm going to tell you,
And he's a baseball guy.
I was impressed with Coffee County last year.
Right.
And I don't
They
know
won
what
the
they lost
game
from
last
last
year.
year. I was impressed with them last
Yeah.
year when I saw them at
We
Shelbyville.
beat them, 27-25, something about 2 points or
I
so.
was impressed with them last year. And if they didn't lose a whole lot off last year's team, you can understand why.
I do believe they're fairly senior laden compared to us, only 8 seniors, which that makes a difference. We're playing a lot of sophomores and freshmen. We're so young.
Hey, I've got a famous saying at school. I say this all the time. It is what it is. And you hate to use that as an excuse,
Right.
but we are young. I meant, like, there's times on defense we got 1 senior on field.
Right.
And I told
And offensively, no more than 4 ever at a time. So I think there's good things ahead.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's
And
no doubt.
I told you last week what Gary Rankin told me when I was playing
Yeah,
all those
yeah,
sophomores. That he said, Kenny, there's good and bad about playing a lot of sophomores and underclassmen. And he said, the bad is you're going to lose a lot of ball games. The good is you got them 2 more years with experience.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Well,
and
I
you
think
got to take
And
it.
they play. I mean, they play hard.
Yeah.
I know the other night, Coach Dryden and Coach Hunsaker were talking that the officials after the ball game commented to the coaching staff about how hard they played. And
I'll tell you, the games that I've seen them play, the discipline
yes,
is
Way better.
they're not getting
Yeah.
the
Fundamentals are better.
penalties
Yep.
and all of that. And that will weigh heavier on down the road.
yeah, will.
That's part of
it
building.
weighs heavy in the hallways too.
Yeah,
I'm sure it does.
Mhm.
You know, Monday through
Right.
Sure.
Friday morning.
And that's the most important thing that's going on with these kids.
Yes.
Well,
So-
a win.
And
A
now,
win's
it's
important
more
also,
fun. It's
yeah.
more fun.
And hopefully we can
And,
get one before long. But
Yeah.
their schedule's not the.
I got
the easiest
Riverdale.
thing.
Friday night's gonna be rough.
They've got some pretty tough.
Well,
games
you
ahead.
know, they might check things up a little bit, change around some stuff. You never know what they're going to do, but I think I think that there's just the freshman sophomore factor is definitely showing up, and you've got some juniors that hadn't played very much that are just now getting acclimated into the game.
The talent that
Real-
you got coming with that freshman sophomore class, Harris is pretty much beating everybody pretty good, aren't they? They
Harris is pretty good.
pretty darn
Pretty
They
good.
were pretty good
And you got
last year.
that
too.
coming in here.
Harris is
Been pretty
They're
good last
pretty good.
couple of
I
years.
tell folks,
They're
you go out and
And
check
then
out
you know
Harris.
what? You
They're
know
pretty
what
good
that
football
means? 2-3 years.
And add it to the freshmen and sophomores you
Mhm.
got, and then we're going to have a nice run, and hopefully we go down to
hey,
classification.
and there. I mean, I can't say this. My wife may kill me if I don't mention Liberty.
They got some kids.
Liberty,
Yeah.
Liberty's
Yeah, they
got
are.
some to
Yeah.
throw in the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made that comment
Yeah,
last
last
week.
week.
Liberty's
Liberty's
pretty
got a
good.
team.
So,
Mhm.
you know, we're excited about, like Coach Parker, Kenny said, you want to win, and I feel like we'll get one. But I do think that there's, with what Dryden and the guys are doing, the kids are working hard, and when you're doing things right, good things will eventually happen.
One thing that I mentioned after the first game, I hadn't seen that leader or those leaders step up on the field, and it maybe we see it happen throughout the year.
You hear what we've been talking about? Youth.
Yeah.
It's hard for a young guy,
Yeah, it
a
is.
freshman or sophomore, to stand up and be a leader.
Yeah.
To these other guys, but
You got
You
3 or 4 seniors on the team that aren't very vocal. They're soft spoken, all of them. They're not real
Right.
high energy as far as just in their emotions and whatever. And you know, one of them will just step up and start getting guys fired up.
and there's different ways of being leaders. You don't
Yeah.
have to be real vocal.
Right.
I mean, but yeah,
Well, you got to be impressed with Jake Preston. He's getting killed.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets up. He's got to be tough as nails.
You got to be
Keep on
impressed with
going.
that one. He just keeps going.
I'm gonna tell you, if we had a school full of Jake Prestons, David, I'd have to be down here asking for a job because a principal could do it by themselves.
Yeah,
Phenomenal kid.
that's
But he is quiet.
yeah. He's quiet.
I mean, he is a gentle giant.
Yes,
He is a good-looking kid in pads. I can tell you that.
yes, he is.
Yeah, he is.
Well, we've got Riverdale coming up Friday night. Riverdale is 2-1. Blackman beat them in a pretty close game, but Riverdale's a Riverdale. They got athletes.
Yeah.
They got 3,000 kids, both those schools. 3,000 kids. Well, we got 15,
Yeah, they're-
1,600. So you're looking at playing a school with double the enrollment that you got.
It's at home, and you never know what could happen. We played them tough last year,
We did play him tough last year.
so you never know what can happen. And
And I think Riverdale still got
They got
the
the
one
number
of the top
one
one of the top.
top players in the state, isn't he?
Mhm. That's what I was.
He's going to
Linebacker comes
Tennessee.
off the edge.
Going to
His brother
Tennessee.
went to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And he's going to Tennessee.
all right, well, let's take another quick break here and hear a word from First Bank, our sponsors, and we'll be back. We're going to talk about community, which was off this week. We'll talk about what they've got coming up, and then we're going to talk about a couple other things. Stay He brought that up. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're going to talk about Community High School now. Community had a off week this past week,
And
it
a
was
bye.
in a bye. Yeah. So we have
They
them,
go to Perry County this week.
Perry County this week. Community's played pretty good in their first 2 games. I don't know. I hadn't really been following them close. I look for that to be a pretty good ball game, Kenny. I don't know about Perry County. Do you know about them?
I think if Community plays the ball that I think they're
Right.
capable of playing, I know we'll have another team this next week that'll have a W.
All right, that's good to hear. We need one. We need one. Well, we didn't get to see them play this week, but this coming week, we'll is it a home or away game?
It's away. It's away. But
That's
I'm gonna
right.
tell you, Community's got some pretty good little athletes also.
Yeah.
They
got a good receiver, great quarterback.
They got a really good
Perry
receiver.
County's Linden, Tennessee. For
Linden.
y'all out there,
That's a long
it's right there in
drive.
Linden.
I'm not sure if it's on NFHS Network or not, but we'll have to check that out. But we want to make sure we support them this week. Now I want to kind of change gears and just talk about how high school football has changed over, let's say, the last 20 years. There's been a lot of stuff happen in the last 20 years with TSSAA, and King, you alluded to it in our first show, talking about the way we practice.
It's not all TSSAA.
Okay.
It's National Federation.
Okay. All right.
They're the ones that set the rules. So the national, this is not just in Tennessee. This is all
Nationwide.
over the nation because people are concerned with injuries.
Right.
Okay. The concussion is the big thing. They're concerned with injuries. And I'm telling you, you're going to get injured playing flag football.
Yeah, you're right.
You're going to get injured playing whatever you play when you're competitive. Football, a lot of people think is a contact sport. Well, if you play football and you're just doing contact, football's a collision
Yes,
sport.
it is.
It's a collision sport.
Basketball's a contact sport.
That's right. Basketball's contact, soccer's contact, football's collision. But we're putting about $1,000 a kid when you buy the good
Right.
uniform, the good equipment, and all of that, and we're equipping them with that. But with Federation is handicapping the coaches because they're not letting them. When you have a collision, somebody's going to be on. There's going to be two parts to it.
Right.
So not only do you have to know how to deliver a lick, you've got to know how to be able to absorb a lick.
Sure, right.
And because if you don't absorb one, you're going to get hurt. If you give one, you still got that chance.
Yep.
But you can scale this down in the pros because they already know how to do it. You can scale it down in college because they already know how to do it.
Right.
But in high school, you've got to teach it.
Right.
It's got to be taught.
If you're teaching it at the high school level, it's too late to the game.
Yeah.
It needs to be taught
It's got to be taught
in
earlier. Yeah. I
the
mean,
junior pro leagues and middle
yeah.
school.
But Coach, you and Deacon alluded to this. Go back and explain to the viewers out here about the offensive line differences and how we can block. Back when you played football, you know how we block. That's outlawed, right? You can't
No.
block that way anymore,
yeah,
or can you still do it?
yeah,
You can still pull your
do it.
guards.
You
You can still block low.
Mhm. No.
Can't shot block.
Well, yes and no. They have made part of that, I think, is better. In the past, if you had a guard pulling out and going to block somebody, defensive guy could come in and take him out low. Take him
Right.
out. They can't do that no more. So the defense can't do that. Offense, you can block below the waist from tackle to tackle. That's always been the
So with
case.
these spreads out here, what if a team just decided that I'm physical, I'm going to go back to that old school coming at you? Wouldn't that be almost just hard to defend when you're not used to it? When you play against the spread
Maybe.
week in, week out.
Very well. And that's the evolution of the game.
Right, everything will come back
game,
around again.
It all comes back around.
Right.
It'll come back around. People used to spread out and throw it, and then this came back to you got physical. Then when you got physical, everybody got to play in the physical. Then you went back out and you spreaded it back out. But what you have to do as a coach is you have to coach to what your strengths
Right,
are.
absolutely. What's your players?
You've got to work on your strengths with what your players give you. Some people can line up and the center can snap the ball to a quarterback that's in a pistol or in the gun, and that works for them. If you got good skilled people, get them out in the open and let them create and make plays. Some people work better when they're quarterback's got his hands under the center, and you take some of the deception away from it. But it all goes back down to whatever you play, it's collision.
Right.
You got to learn how to, when you first started playing football, you always talk about you got to learn how to block, you got to learn how to tackle, and you got to learn how to secure the football.
Right.
Collision. All three of those things happen to do with that. And if you don't have time to do that and successfully do it,
This is something crazy. This goes back to when I played Pee Wee football. Well, I remember Aaron West getting us, and he had an assistant coach come over, and they were just pushing us down, teaching us how to fall. You got to know how to fall.
You do.
If you don't, you just get hurt hitting the ground.
Right.
So that's part of the process of learning, and that goes back to 8, 9, 10 years old. But I mean, that was just a basic thing. I mean, they were pushing us down. Today, if you did that, what would happen?
You go to jail.
Probably.
I think, Coach McCullough, you can help me more with this because with the AD job that you're doing, you're more into the rules than I am now. But you can only have like 30 minutes.
You can only get, I don't know the exact
30
time.
minutes
You
a
can only
day.
get a
And
certain amount of time a
And
day.
if you do that on Monday, you got to take it off on Tuesday. You can't do it, but you can come back and do it on Wednesday. I don't think you can have physical contact 2 days in a row.
I found, my mother sold her house a year or so ago and moving some stuff out of the attic. I found an old newspaper clipping. Kenny, you were one of the coaches. Coach Thaxton, it was an article, and it's a pile of 22 bodies on that same practice field. Dust is flying everywhere. It's a Wednesday before a Friday
game.
night
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
And the headline, it was Tuesday. Headline read, Eagles hit for 3 hours. And it quotes Thaxton on down there that we may hit again on Wednesday because Monday's practice was bad.
Yep.
That is non-existent now.
Can't do it.
Well,
I've got the picture on my phone. I'll show y'all after a while.
times have changed, definitely.
And then, like I said last week, Bubba, if it's me, my most valuable player is going to be the person. If I can only have 30 minutes of contact a day, the most valuable player on my bunch will be the one that runs the stopwatch. And you know how we used to do, one-on-ones, individual, this year, and then the next guy go up. We'd have about 4 lines of them doing all 4 of them at the same line.
Yeah.
And then
Click.
click it.
That was 4
use,
seconds.
just use 5 seconds. Here we go. We're going to do it again.
Yeah.
And we may do
That's
that.
contact. That's the contact.
That's what you got to learn how to do.
Yeah.
You've got to learn how to do that.
Well, I know, backing up, one thing that, and I know this is probably on philosophy, and you guys probably would want to comment on this, and you alluded to it a little bit, but if you have a team that you feel like can line up and just run the ball, and you want to run some power type of offense, but you got in your mind that you always want to run a spread and spread everybody out, how do you feel that you should do it? Should you always use your talent that you have and change your thought, or should you take and put your thought and your philosophy into it no matter what as a coach?
Well, I think you got to do some of both. You've got to do some of both. But here's the thing. Coach Thaxton always used to say you can't make chicken salad out of chicken.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
So whatever your product is,
Yeah.
you got to learn how to do it.
Right.
Whatever your ingredients are, you got to learn how to cook with them.
That was an interview done by
But that's what you've got to take. If you've got some good skilled people, then spreading it out's not bad. But all of them aren't going to be that way.
Right.
I'm always. You guys have ever watched me coach?
I know.
We're gonna hit you in the mouth. We're gonna hit you in the mouth. And I'm
doing it.
because I'm sorry, at Cascade, I saw more athletes at Mount Pleasant last night on that one team than I saw that I could combine my 18 years at Cascade.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So you've got to play with what you got. And some people will say, well, your fans don't want to watch you just line up, play cloud of dust and play cloud of dust and play cloud of dust. Well, they do when the scoreboard at the end says you're up 14-12.
Exactly.
They're all happy.
If it was 12-14, it'd be a different ball
That
game.
might be different.
Y'all remember when James Franklin got hired at Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
First interview the man did, they asked him, Coach, what are you going to run? And he said, well, I've run the wishbone. I've run the spread. What can my kids do? And go back and think of the job that guy did at Vanderbilt. I don't think you'll ever see it again. A guy went, 9 games at Vandy in 3 years in a row, I believe it was. But that's what he said. He's done a good job at Penn State too. But his big thing was, I'm going to do what my kids can do, and I will adapt to that. Let me see what's here. Then he
Right,
recruited
yeah.
based on it. But that's the same thing you're talking about too.
Well, at Vanderbilt and these other, you can recruit to what you want to
You
run.
can, but at Vanderbilt, you're never going to have better
Cascade,
athletes.
You're
You're
stuck with what
Cascade,
you got.
Cascade and Shelbyville,
You got what you got.
you go what comes in your door.
Well, I hope everybody starts having some wins, and we start seeing Bedford County put some wins on the board through Community, Cascade, and all 4 teams. Shelbyville, I'd like to see them play a good game against Riverdale here. Hopefully they'll get things rolling. Some of these young kids start stepping up.
I would, we've talked a little bit about our young kids. Harris has got a really good team. Liberty's got a good team. Cascade Middle School, what I understand, I hadn't seen them play, got a few pretty good athletes. Community's not real bad,
Right.
but I haven't. We ought to try to find out when they're playing and maybe
Right.
And we don't
Liberty
get out and do
plays.
something.
Liberty plays at Community this Thursday, I think.
this Thursday. I know some of them play on Monday and sometimes they play on Monday.
Tuesdays.
And when I do my day's work, last week when we got through here, I went home and I heard Cascade playing a middle school game because I just live right there, and I heard
Yeah.
the PA going, and they played Community. I didn't even know about it.
Oh well. Well, when does Central? When does Harris play?
When Harris-
You know?
I-
Tuesdays, Thursdays, isn't that right? Tuesdays,
Harrison was
Thursdays?
playing on Tuesdays. I think.
Tuesday.
I think
So they possibly play tomorrow night.
Yeah, but I don't,
I'm not sure, but I got a couple of their kids
I know
right.
they beat Warren County last week pretty good.
They
It was
beat-
close at
Wasn't bad.
halftime.
Warren County's not bad.
they
It
beat
was close
everybody
at halftime.
pretty
Real close.
Well, guys, anything else? What else is happening in the world of football? I know we got college under.
good. I'll tell you
our
right now, Georgia
belt.
look good.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
I'm
they play
telling
out through Oregon.
I was gonna tell Miss Sandy at church yesterday, and I didn't tell her. You're gonna have to call them dogs off because they ain't nipping at people no more. They
What-
biting.
What
They
is
can
the
play.
big tight end? Where's Zero?
Zero.
6'7", 270?
Yeah, you see him hurdle that dude.
Yes. And
Hey,
then he
and
hurt
can't run like
But
that.
Yeah.
hey, but 19.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
he's
that
just a
other
junior
tight
too,
end,
isn't he? 19's just a junior.
He's a sophomore.
Is he? Oh, well, yeah, that's right. Because
Yeah,
last
that's
year he
one
was a
that played
freshman.
well last year.
Yeah.
But the LSU game, when you already had a field goal block, nearly had an extra point block. Don't you sit here and have to think, go for it on that one and not kick it and get it blocked? Because they have a problem with the center exchange. Mr. Kelly's got a rude awakening coming to the SEC. God, watch.
But here,
Rude awakening.
take LSU. Take the LSU game. I taped it last night and watched it. To go from run low to one high to a low again. I mean, here they got the ball.
Yeah.
Defense does a great job.
Yep.
Makes them punt. They punt. They muff the punt again and give it up on the 8. So Florida State gets it on the 8 with very little time left on the clock.
Minute 30 seconds.
And it looks like they're about to score, and then they fumble, and LSU recovers it on the 1. So here you go. We got one timeout, and they go the length of the
They did.
field and score
On the last play
on
of
the
the
last
game.
play of the game.
Yep.
So you go from, hey, we're going to get the ball back. We're good. Till we've just fumbled the punt. Till we just recovered it. Now we've went down and we've scored.
But the play
Roller
before the last play of the game, there was a big controversy about whether or not the guy stepped out of bounds or not, or
His
got
knee-
out of bounds.
With his knee out
Yeah.
before it.
And it didn't change the outcome at all. But
At
there
home,
was
you get
there
that
was
1
another roller coaster right there because they were thinking, man, they might have a 10-second runoff here. Oh, wow. That ends
But
the
the
game.
point being, LSU had been having a problem snapping to the kicker. They had an issue there.
No, the issue wasn't in the snapping.
To the kicker.
No, the issue was in the blocking.
Well,
Yeah.
okay,
Same
gotcha.
side.
Went
Yeah.
the same side both times, and if you've ever coached, you always block down. You always block down on the extra point. The guard blocks down, the tackle blocks down, the tight ends block down, the wings block down. If you'll watch both of those, the wing blocked out, the tight end blocked out, and the guy came right between the
And it
tight
was the
end
same block it was on the field
both
goal.
times.
Both times.
Wow. So,
Both times.
Special teams coach got a job today.
well.
it's by a thread if he does.
Yeah, he'll have a job, but you know what? Block down. If they come from the outside and block it, that's on the snapper, the holder, and the kicker. Because everybody's going to come from outside.
Yeah.
That's on the snapper, the holder, and the kicker. If they come in between the guard and the wing back,
That's on the
that's
line.
on the blocking.
Yeah.
And that's what happened in both of them. They turned out and they gave that little lane right there.
I don't know how good Florida State is, but I know the SEC West is good. And welcome to the SEC LSU because it's going to be a long year.
That's the only SEC team lost last week.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long year.
I picked them like on Thursday, and I had that one as an upset. I picked Florida State to beat LSU. The rest of them, I mean, they were easy picks, but that one was like, I think.
I thought Florida to lose. I thought Utah would get them if they didn't.
Yeah, they were
I tell you
picking.
what.
I did pick Utah to beat Florida.
I tell you what, Florida.
They're
that
the
was
real.
pretty impressive.
Yes,
He's a
it
good
was.
coach. He did a great
yeah.
job where he
Yeah.
was,
Yeah, he's
but he's lost so many players.
He's a good coach.
He is a good coach.
Well, guys, that's
Football's
everything.
back. It's
Football
back.
is back and it's rolling, and we can't wait to be
Got a
back
game
with you
tonight.
again.
Right?
Yeah, we got a
Yes,
game
yeah,
tonight.
we do. Clemson and Georgia
Georgia
Tech. All right, guys. Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And Kenny again, Bill as always.
Yes, sir.
Guys, thanks for joining in, and look forward to seeing you this coming Saturday morning at 9:00, and we will be rolling then to cover the games from Friday night. Y'all have a good rest of your holiday.